This episode of the Cost of Living Abroad Pod is brought to you by Awesome. Today's guest is Shareef. He spent 20 years in the California tech industry chasing the American dream. On paper, he was winning big. Job, salary, but the grind at 45 was too much, and he decided to leave the United States behind and move to Da Nang, Vietnam with his Vietnamese American wife. Stick around to hear how he cut his cost of living by 70% and retired early in Vietnam, what the reality of starting a new life overseas meant to him, and how the move to Vietnam changed Shareef's take on life, because it might just change the way you see your own future.
Hey, Evan.
Shareef, Evan, welcome to Cost of Living Abroad Pod. I'm excited to have you on. For everyone out there watching, Shareef is a filmmaker originally from America who relocated here to Vietnam. He's made some incredible, stunning, beautiful works here, all documentary style. And before we get into that aspect of it, we're just going to jump straight into how he got here, his personal story. Inflection point or like a catalyst? Like what was the original inspiration for leaving America behind?
It wasn't really intention of leaving America. It was more of the fact that, I retired. I was in the tech industry for like 25 years. So at 45, I semi-retired. I worked at big tech companies at that point. And my wife and I, we love traveling. So we traveled a lot around the world. And after I retired, I wanted to get in film because I love film and specifically documentary filmmaking. So one of the directors, he was like an early director in San Diego, like hobby almost, but he had like good equipment, and we just started talking. We're good friends, and we just, hey, let's try it out. So we did a doc on San Diego. It's called Jewel of the Pacific, and I was like the host, and it's like we start somewhere we're very familiar with, our hometown. Yeah. So it was really a story about gentrification, like the city, Pacific Beach, Mission Beach where we live changed. I saw this amazing transformation in 12 years. So it's kind of like a small gentrification. It's not like the story of San Francisco or New York City, but it's happening. Surfers getting pushed out, and you can just see all these Airbnbs coming in. So we did a 20-minute short, and didn't know. We just approached KPBS, local TV, and they bought it for like, $3,000 or $4,000. We're like, wow, we can make money out of this. This is great.
Yeah.
So after that, we said, hey, let's do let's make sure we have, I started a company called 101 Productions. So the focus of the company, and I came up with this idea because I travel a lot and I've seen some really amazing things around the world, specifically emerging countries. So I wanted to focus on doing documentaries on emerging countries and what makes them different. Why are they emerging? What's the key driver? Yeah. And so guess what? Vietnam was one of them. And full disclosure, my wife is Vietnamese American.
Okay.
She's also a U.S. immigration attorney. So, her clients are in Vietnam.
Okay.
So she had an office in San Diego. We're like, hey, why don't we try, Southeast Asia and try it out? It's 3 months, 6 months. I did Saigon. Saigon's just crazy. I lived in New York City for 5 years. I'm like, hell no, I'm not going through the same shit again. This is just nuts. And so oddly, my wife is born in Da Nang, Vietnam. Okay. So she's one of the boat people. She left when she was 7 after the Vietnam War. Her whole family had an amazing story that immigrated to the United States, and they're the success story. So we came back, but she's what they call in Vietnam Viet Kieu. They're Vietnamese American. They're not Vietnamese in the sense, but Viet Kieu, right? So we came back. So she's new, just like me, like exploring her own country. And first time we came to Da Nang, it was like not much going on, it's like 7 years ago. And then 2 years later, I'm like, wow, this place blew up. It's like San Diego. There's surfing, volleyball, everything. Let's move out here. So that's where the move came. So with the partial movements going on, and then COVID happened, we decided to stay here for COVID.
Yeah.
So then the permanent move began after that.
Quick heads up, if you're planning to work online or start a business abroad in Southeast Asia, Singapore is actually one of the best places in the world to do that, especially if you're a digital nomad, coach, consultant, or a YouTuber like either of us. That's where Awesome comes in. Awesome will help you register a legit business, set up your taxes and accounting, and stay compliant with zero stress. I use them personally for all my back-end accounting and incorporation services. Their dashboard is clean, their customer support is fast, and they make the boring stuff feel easy. Just use the QR code on screen right now, or the link below in the description to get 16% off when you set up your business with Awesome. Whether you're freelancing or going full nomad CEO, Awesome makes your life simple, scalable, and legal wherever you and your business are. Okay, so yeah, definitely the timeline. There's a lot of parallels with myself there, like arriving in Vietnam in 2019 and then coming. I didn't live in Da Nang, then I lived in Saigon first, but arriving here, I came up here like Tet 2020, I think, so before COVID hit, and was really like impressed by the place. Like it's just beautiful, and there's a comparison to Miami that I don't think is that apt, but the San Diego thing could fit if it develops a bit more, and the multiple beaches. Yeah. So what? Tell me about this idea of like what drew you in, other than proximity, to the idea of studying gentrification, and sort of like what financial or sort of migratory aspects of that.
When we moved here, it's one of the big draws was obviously the cost of living, right? Which is just amazing in Southeast Asia. You're getting kind of like American style living, you know. I mean, it was funny when I first moved to Da Nang, I was like I was trying to slowly take out all the things that I am missing. I do
like taking stock almost.
Right. You're like, can I do this? Can I surf? Can I volleyball? Can I do? Okay. So I started checking everything off. It's the only thing that was missing were our friends.
Yeah.
Ironically, the first year when we moved to Da Nang, 25 of our friends came to visit.
Wow.
Within the first year.
It's incredible.
So it was nuts. So they all came. They're like, oh my God, this is not the Vietnam I thought. So it was quite amazing because we have a big group of friends in San Diego. Okay. Lived there for 12 years almost, right? So now we're building that, building the friendships here over the past 5 years. And it's kind of uniquely similar.
So you move from East Coast, from New York to San Diego. Was that work related? Were you doing tech stuff in California?
It was not work related. I think 5 years living in New York City, it's just even making six figures, I was like, we can't save any money. It's just the city devours you literally, right? So we're like, we need to like get savings, and we're very active people, so we just find ourselves in Central Park all the time playing volleyball. I'm like, this is weird. It's a big city where I was hanging out. So I'm like, we need to find a city that's like that. And San Diego fit the bill. So we got a place on the beach, oceanfront, and playing volleyball every day. You know, it's just everything's in the boardwalk. All the things are there. It's just more of a lifestyle.
I spent such a short amount of time, maybe 2 weeks, probably 15 years ago, in Ocean Beach. It was like I was at a hostel.
Hippie.
Yeah, hippie, right? I was like, exactly. I was like in my
hate district of San Francisco.
Exactly, man. I was mid 20s on the way to Mexico overland from Canada, so I stopped there, and I love that city. It's beautiful, and it's so like even the island Coronado, it's so picturesque, right?
Yeah, beautiful, gorgeous.
So was it hard to leave? You were semi-retired. Do you sell your house? Do you go all in? Have you been to Vietnam before? Like, was this just like?
It's funny because initially we looked at we were planning to move to Thailand. That was our first thing because we love Thailand. I'm a big fan of I'm a foodie guy. I cook every day, so Thai food is like one of my favorites. So I was like, man, I love Thailand. So, but when we visited Vietnam, I just noticed that it all kind of like came together. It is the emerging country. In the fastest growing economy in all of Southeast Asia. I'm like, whoa, so we're gonna do a documentary here. And my wife's company is immigration, and her chief clients are Vietnamese people. So I'm like, it kind of just the perfect storm. And that's where I think our decision was to kind of move here eventually permanently. I mean, she has an office right now with 12 workers. I'm on my third documentary on Vietnam. I mean, I was only planning on making one, and I was going to move on to other countries. But the stories got so interesting, and to also kind of piggyback on the films, independent filmmaking. For us, it typically takes about a year and a half to make a 60-minute feature. Like the ones we have right now on Apple TV and Amazon Prime. So it typically takes about that. So we need time. So being here for me to be on site, it just gave me the ability to get the right characters and tell the right story.
What's it costing you to live in San Diego versus how much it costs you to live here, and also sort of what that then enables?
It's really simple, actually. It's I'm married to a Vietnamese wife, so she's got an Excel sheet of all our expenses. month to month, and we, just to make sure that we are, kind of on par with our finances, where we're spending our money. Majority of the money spent are usually travel, and I cook at home all the time. So groceries are very expensive in San Diego. It just went like that. It's always, and I like cooking healthy food. So again, it's, you buy like 3 tomatoes at a farmer's market, it's like $7, right? So that's how expensive that is. So for me, produce is a big deal. And guess what? Vietnam produce is just dirt cheap. We can go with $2 at the local market. You just got a big bag of produce, right? So that was a huge saving as far as cost of me making food at home. And if anything, I actually kept the cost high because I started getting more quality food now.
Yeah.
Things that I would think twice about, like going to Mega Mart and getting like the Atlantic salmon. I'm like, who cares? It's like $10, not a big deal. Lamb shank, what? $15, I'll take it, because everything else is so low. So that actually was a big driver. Cost of like food and going out and things like that. And then rent. That's the biggest cost, right?
Sure.
So we got like a small, like 60 square meter beach house in San Diego, paying $2,000, probably $3,000 right now a month.
Yeah.
Here we have, during COVID, we moved into a 4-bedroom villa with a pool for like $900.
Yeah.
This would be in San Diego maybe $5,000 if I was lucky in La Jolla.
That's right. Yeah, and I think now San Diego might be like the highest purchase price in America now, right? It's certainly one of the most expensive cities to buy property in America. And I think that's the thing, right? It's like not only can you literally cut your costs in half, but you can cut your costs in half and like upsize, right? Like I moved somewhere nicer. Like,
it's simple. According to our expenses, we were averaging $5,000 to $7,000 a month in San Diego.
Yeah.
And right now our expenses are down to $2,000 a month. That's lavish.
Yeah.
That includes our vacations to Thailand, to Philippines, to Malaysia. Sometimes, it's literally, we'd calculate a trip to Perhentian Islands. I'm also a diver, so we do diving there. And 1 week, 5 days, I came back and it was like $1,000 for both of us at a nice hotel and everything included. I'm like, this would be like $3,000 in Mexico.
It's mind-boggling, right? It really is when you think like, it's not just that you're spending 40% of the output, it's what you're getting in return.
So like if Da Nang, for example, would suddenly have like a solar industry that would go nuts, I bet you it's gonna quadruple.
There's a couple companies here, right? Like FPT, they're big, like, internet tech companies here. And they're building a whole city essentially in between here and Hoi An.
And NVIDIA is going to be one of the largest investors in making Vietnam one of the first AI countries. So that's like ambitious, which is on par with Vietnam's ambitious roads always.
Vietnam's always ambitious.
Yeah, right? Like SpaceX just invested $1.5 billion already. So if you get like this free internet, all this stuff going on, this whole country could shift. And I think Da Nang would be one of the best ones because it's small to manage, where it's going to be an overhaul for Saigon, overhaul for Hanoi.
That's
where
right.
you can
there's
you can make this
here.
into it. Yeah, you can make this into the next Silicon Valley of Asia, or next Singapore of Asia.
That turning point when young Viet people I'm talking about, right? When young domestic people start migrating into the city for work, for money, for opportunity, every sort of young Vietnamese person who wants to like make something of themselves, who wants to do something, they end up in Saigon. And if there's this shifting point where people think, I can go to Da Nang, to make it, right? To do something, to start something. Tell me about your production company or your productions here?
So I'm an independent filmmaker. So typically the way it works is, we have to put my equity in there, my money in there primarily. And then we raise some funding, whether it's, friends and family, whether it's grants and so forth. It's typically very hard. So in the beginning, it's kind of like grind. The first few documentaries, you got to kind of grind it out and pay for a lot of stuff yourself, right? So that's what I did. My co-producer who's in San Diego did the first movie. So he was the director, producer. I was the host. It's called Vietnam Fast Forward. It did amazing on Amazon Prime. I think we got like 150 5 stars within like the month and a half of its release.
Nice.
So we just released it. It's been that's the oldest movie. It's like 3-4 years. We released on Apple TV this year. And we'll probably release it for free on YouTube soon, sometime end of this year. Look at the psychology of people's attention span. It's getting slower and slower. You forgot the the elephant in the room called TikTok also, right?
yeah, of
So
course.
you're getting this thing where your attention span of reading a book was, say, a couple of days, right? That went into movies. Attention span watching a movie for an hour and a half, 2 hours. Now you're at the attention span of 15, 20 minutes on YouTube. Now you're going to be at attention span of 2 to 3 minutes on TikTok. So there is that genre of how do you say, media, right? And YouTube's going to start getting market share because they're that soft little middle right there, right? So that they're gaining that. I mean, I look at myself and I watch a movie every night. Like I love watching documentaries. I used to read a book every day, every other day when I was young, right? So it's an evolution. And then I notice I'll watch an hour and a half of a movie or doc, and then I'll watch like 30, 40 minutes of YouTube, right? So
absolutely.
That's that. TikTok's just too much for me. I'm too old for TikTok, I feel like.
Yeah, I don't have like the short vertical videos on my phone. I can't do it. I find it distracting. Is it adding anything to culture, to society? Let's talk about your long-term plan as a filmmaker, a host, a producer in Vietnam.
Quite simple, actually. In San Diego, I opened a LLC, 101 Productions. It's the name of my company. And then here, as a foreigner, you can't own businesses in the sense, but my wife has both dual passports now, so she can own property and she has both U.S. and Vietnam passports. So and she's our executive producer. So we have a film company in Vietnam under her name now.
Beautiful.
So we can legally film out here. You still have to follow a lot of procedures and so forth. So I built a local team here, based on the fact that we were going to do one documentary. Now we have 2 more documentaries coming out for Vietnam. In Vietnam. And those are all produced with pretty much all the talented Vietnamese. The screenwriters, typically I go to US for, because again, my biggest market for these documentaries are America. Or North America.
Like English language voiceover.
Because documentaries don't do well in they want to, in Southeast Asia, they want to see K-drama, they want to see K-pop. This is not area where but as I guess the income goes up, you're gonna see Netflix doing well here. Apple TV will probably come back in here, and so you'll see the documentaries coming in here. But my primary audience is North America and Europe, right? So for that, typically we try to get a screener out there. But everything else, everywhere else, I typically hire all local people. They're one of my final cut editors in Saigon. My sound engineers in Saigon. It's like a bigger talent pool, obviously.
Of course, yeah.
But assembly cut, getting things together in the beginning, that local talent is right here in Da Nang. I have a good cinematographer here. Beautiful. And so, it's a good team, solid team right now, and that we basically, go through the process of, in filmmaking, you have basically development, production, and post-production, and then distribution. So typically, development, 6 months of research for us typically. It takes whether we get the right characters or not. Depending, also I have a producer, the new movie, I have another American producer joining me. So we have 2 people now working together on my last movie. So we do 6 months of production, and then we do another 6 months of actual production shooting after the development's done. So it's depending on the availability of characters and so forth. I mean, for the new movie about the woman in Vietnam, we had Miss Universe, Miss Vietnam, so it took us a while to get her, so it took us like 2-3 months to get her at least in the studio in Saigon. So it just, the process takes a little longer time. And then post-production could go from 6 months to a year, depending on the availability of the talent to make this like Netflix ready, right? So that's typically, it's about a year and a half. But what I did was I was kind of short-circuiting the system. My tech brain kicked in, and I made sure that all the filming, post-production stuff, all the technology things are streamlined. So we interview, we get it up in Frame.io, we get everything going, we get all the post-production happening while we're shooting another movie. So that's why this year I'm gonna have 3 movies coming out. Actually, that's been in post-production for like a year and a half. At the same time, I've been working on a movie with my other director producer in U.S. and on Belize. That's another emerging country that's doing amazing things on about ocean conservation, 2nd largest barrier reef in the world, and they're protecting it. It's amazing. It's a women's story. So he's kind of heading that out in U.S. and that's also done. So that's another emerging country that's outside of Vietnam. But just talking about Vietnam. 3 movies. One was, the first one 3 years ago about Vietnam Fast Forward, about what made Vietnam unique. It's the entrepreneurs. So we sampled entrepreneurs from different fields, whether it's a chef, whether it's a tech CEO, or whether it's a top CEO of a tourism company. And then we also, did the average local people that have their business. Like 50% of Vietnamese own their own business. 75% of Vietnamese are under 35 years old. So there's a lot of really cool stuff. I'm also in contact with the World Bank director in Hanoi, so he gives me real-time data. One of the things after that documentary we did, we're like, okay, that's cool. One of the parts that came out of it was women, the women of Vietnam. So according to World Bank and IMF, the label for participation of Vietnamese women surpasses any other modern country in the world. I think Sweden is the only one that beats Vietnam. Just think about that.
Yeah, for sure.
Like half of the GDP of Vietnam is coming from women. That is unparalleled to, say, somebody like US, China, not there at all. You're talking about 80-something percentile versus 60-something in China and US.
So present, it's so visible here that women are counting money, women are the boss of shops, right? You go into those mom and pop shops, there's an auntie somewhere, positioned, watching, counting the money, running the show. And it's like, it's not universal, but it's just so prevalent in this country.
Female entrepreneurs are higher in Vietnam than anywhere else, I think. I was according to the World Bank director, he was saying, if you were to count all the undocumented women workers, you see the recycle ladies, we interviewed one of them already. It's an amazing contrast when you see Miss Universe, who gives all her money away for children, school, her all earnings. And then when she was growing up, her hero was this lady that was counting money she saw by recycling. I was like, this is a perfect, interesting contrast right here. Yeah. And that's how it is. They just do it and they take all the opportunities, which is just an amazing story there.
Find ways to immerse yourself in local culture, right?
Oh, absolutely.
And one of them is through economic participation, right? By starting a local business, having employees, which I do as well, or learning local languages. Food culture, of course, is probably the easiest way, right? For most people, the first and easiest way in is through food. How has being and living in Vietnam changed you as a person?
For Vietnamese people in general, and I've traveled all over Vietnam, north and south, I just find this, what I call common sense. They have this sense of common sense, which resonates with me. It's a matter of whether you see two motorcycles bump into each other, they're kind of like, yeah, let's not call the cops. Let's just settle the bill right here and move on with our lives, right? That would never happen in the United States. Right? So little things like, hey, just use some common sense and get on with your lives and live a good life. You go to any of the streets out here, Monday, they're out there drinking beer, socializing. Those things are just very common and they're living their life, sort of, right? And that is what I take away from them, and it makes me want to live my life every day like that.
So much of life here is lived publicly. The boundary between home and business often doesn't exist. But something that Americans still think about Vietnam that they just get wrong, right? There's a sort of an idea or a presumption.
It's really interesting. But the first thing always is the war for Americans, right? The Vietnam War. And it's quite amazing because the Vietnam Fast Forward movie, we showcased in Borrego Springs, and it won the audience award, which is really weird because we're competing against Christopher Walken talking about Monsanto documentary. And I'm like, Christopher Walken? I'm like, what? We just beat that guy. This is amazing. But it won an audience award, and it was quite amazing because I was there and I was a host there, so people would recognize me. And it was interesting. My wife and I were going out to the car, and this lady just comes out of nowhere. Hey, I just saw that movie, Vietnam Fast Forward. It just made my day. I was having a shitty day. It just made my day. And I'm like, that's not me, that's the country. Okay? I'm going down to the award ceremony, and our director's there, his wife, my wife and I just got bombarded with a bunch of these Vietnam vets. It's like 4 or 5 of them comes up to me, and they're dragging me one corner just to have a personal conversation. And one of the guy comes up to me, he's like, can I just talk to you in the corner? So I'm like, yeah, sure. He's like, I was in the Vietnam War, and this movie kind of helped me have a closure. I just didn't know this is what's happened there. I was like, I didn't know what to say. I'm the new generation also. I'm like, Vietnam War, that was like 70 years. All the Vietnamese, if you notice, they don't really care. This is beyond their time. No. So I was trying to explain that to them, and then how it is. And then other Vietnamese like, do you think they teach you different when you're Vietnamese? And you learn that you're an American? I'm like, no, they don't really care.
No.
So that's one of the big things I noticed, and that was like, you know, pretty powerful. I thought that the movie actually showed these Vietnamese vets like, wow, this is where we're at, with the country's at now. So that was really powerful for me, I thought.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. It's interesting too how, you know, North America, Europe are literally older. Like you said earlier, the vast majority of Vietnamese people are under 35.
Yeah.
The fall of Saigon just had its 50th anniversary. This is something that happened 15 years before birth. So
they're like, it's just the excuse to party.
That's right, and there's a full generation removed. Yeah, so tell me about just the everyday life aspect of it. You know, a day living in Da Nang. Do you feel safe here? What are the things that are still sort of hard to grapple with, culture shock wise?
I don't. I have zero problem about safety here. I mean, to me, it's weird because I don't really see. Like I was saying, when I lived in Pacific Beach, San Diego, it's like, you know, the bar scene. There's a fight going on by 12 o'clock. There's like 5 different fights probably going on, and I always tell my wife, I'm like, if you're with your girlfriends, get on a Grab and I'll get on an Uber and come home. There's no reason after 12 o'clock you should be out. I mean, there was gunshots in downtown a couple of times, and Pacific Beach had a bunch of gunshots already, but this is when we're leaving. I mean, that's the temperature out there. And here, I don't care. She could be out until 3 in the morning, come out, walking home. She's never felt anything, any issues whatsoever. I mean, if it is some kind of cases, they're like simply small isolated cases maybe.
So what about healthcare? What do you guys do for healthcare here? How have you found, I mean?
It's pretty simple. We get Viet insurance. So I think for foreigners, about $1,000, $1,000 a year.
Yeah.
And it's pretty good. That's the local health insurance. You know, I'm in my 50s, so I definitely need to. I have insurance also in the U.S. But as far as local stuff, there is a hospital called Vinmac International. It's amazing. It's like inside, it's better than any American hospital. It's beautiful. Like, and they have like English translators. You know, I've had, you know, a few things here and there. I'd go in and check, and, you know, no issues. Like, really smooth, everything. Now, as far as like major stuff, I would not go and get surgery here. You know, I had a recent hip surgery. I went back to U.S. to get that.
Okay.
I wouldn't, you know, because the facilities are amazing, but good doctors are very hard to find here. Because if you think about the doctor systems here, you know, it's like you can be a doctor in 3 years.
My doctor here at Family Medical is just at the clinic, right?
Yeah.
For day-to-day stuff. He's Filipino. So I don't know where he studied. He studied somewhere else, but he's Filipino, you know, fully fluent English speaker. So I think that kind of stuff, especially in cities. Outside of cities, no.
Yeah.
But like Hanoi, Saigon, Da Nang now as well, you're pretty set up. Yeah, so like culture shock stuff, what are the things that just, you know, as an American walking around day to day, you are literally surprised by?
I'm actually quite the opposite of everybody else. I find it entertaining and amusing. I mean, to me, it's like, I'm laughing most of the time, like, this is hilarious. This doesn't make any logical sense to a Westerner, but it works. It's like they jerry-rig a lot of things a lot of the times, right? It's like, I'm just sitting there watching, like, this is funny as hell. Like, I mean, I'll give you a quick example. For the other movie, my other movie we did on the ethnic minority groups of Vietnam in North Vietnam. Again, that's where you said Andrew Fraser. They all did that. Vietnam has 54 ethnic minority groups. It's really big, not the largest in the world, but they're 15% of the population of Vietnam, right? So they play a big role. Rice, Northern Vietnam, these are the people that do the rice.
Yeah.
So the agriculture, they're powerhouse. What Vietnam does, though, is very well is preserve them. So, so my other background is I do a lot of volunteer work, conservation, travel around the world, Africa, Indonesia, for marine conservation, land conservation. I'm always kind of drawn to stories of why ethnic minorities are important. So we did this up north in Vietnam when we did the film, and I was like, if you thought you saw crazy stuff, you go up there, it's like in a village in the mountains. You're just like, yes, there is a massive kitchen sink behind a motorbike. If that was interesting in Saigon, you get up there, they've got 8 pigs, and I counted them all, on each side on a basket, 8 pigs stuffed in a basket, both sides, and the guy's going. And then I saw a goat tied up in the back, like literally tied up. It's a live goat.
Yes.
I'm like, what the hell is going on here? Like this stuff there is just absolutely out of this world. Just they make it work. I mean, we were literally, I was doing this one time, we were just doing drone shots. We were like, let's stop at this coffee shop in Hazang, and we're like, I'm just kind of packing things up, and this dude rolls up in his motorcycle and just boom, drops this like fucking cobra tied up in the floor right next to him. I'm like, whoa, hold on. I'm like, is this a cobra? He just tied up, yeah. It's a coffee shop owner. He's like, hey, why don't you guys stay for dinner? We can have some cobra. I'm like, okay, I've had cobra before. I mean, I've tried it out in an actual restaurant, but that's it. And then later we're gonna have some kids show tonight. We're gonna have a bunch of kids. I'm like, what? Like it's just like what's going on here type of moments going on all the time.
Yeah.
So
Studied any Tiếng Viet? Have you made the leap into the Vietnamese language?
I've been married to my Vietnamese wife for 20 years, and I only know like maybe 5 things.
Yeah.
But they're the ones that are, I think, the most that you need. Like when you're a grab, you gotta always say deton. I mean, keep going, because they tend to creep all the time, right?
Yep.
So you gotta just keep going. That's deton. You gotta know that. You gotta say, come on, of course, thank you, all that stuff. And you gotta say Dung Roy. Always agree.
Yeah.
Always
That's a
agree.
good one.
So there's 4 or 5 syllables I think I need, but otherwise I don't know what it is. But I think most of the time, especially in Da Nang, wherever I'm at, they don't mind speaking English to me.
Yeah.
I think because they want to learn English, right?
Yeah.
So just even in my profession of film, I mean, if I'm going to hire somebody Vietnamese and he knows a little bit of English, I'm paying 20% more.
Yeah.
I mean, so their incomes are going up as they learn more English. So they're incentivized, I think, to learn more. If you get a coffee shop, nice one, and you speak a little English, it's. I mean, my wife and I were in. It's a funny story. In Phong Nha, in the cave systems, we were having like a nice, after doing caving all day and things like, we're having a really quiet dinner with both of us. Amazing fish from the river, and there's like a family of Vietnamese right there, and one of the fathers, and we're done with dinner, walks over with their 2 daughters, and they're like maybe like 7, 8 years old, and just, excuse me, is it okay if my daughters sit here and speak English to you guys? I was like, I mean, Americans would be like, dude, it's my romantic dinner, leave me alone. And my wife was like, of course, bring a chair. And I'm like sitting talking to these 8-year-old kids. I'm like, they don't need to practice. They're good in their English. So they're incentivizing and they want their kids to learn English. So which is why I don't see the need so far for me to speak English, and I've gone by perfectly every day.
I think there's such a generational divide too, right? Like you said, roughly 3/4 of the population are under 35, and the percentage of people in that group, right, that the under 30 group, a huge number of people speak at least some English, right? At least some passable, basic sort of small talk or business talk, right? To be able to
or they're constantly practicing, and the best way to practice is with somebody foreigner like you.
And there's a huge premium on education here too, right? That my first
Massive.
5 years were working in education in Vietnam, and I did a great job. I got paid well. It's why I was able to retire early.
Yeah.
But there's data on this too. The amount of household income that a Vietnamese family spends on education is staggering. It's something like 35 or 40%, right? So there's all these, and it's not for me, but there's big incentives like open language centers, open schools, because the Vietnamese, at least at this time right now, are totally willing to sink a huge amount of their income into their children's education,
big
right?
Time.
They're all in on investing on the next generation, and to them that means English. It means doing business with people abroad.
It even parlays, for example, my wife's business is immigration to the United States is booming right now, because the first thing they want to do when they want their kids to go and study in the United States, get a big education, because that system is getting better, I think, in Vietnam right now. But that is a huge thing for the Vietnamese. Even when we talked about the women in Vietnam, we're also noticing the girls are graduating now faster than the men in high school, which is weird. So you're going to see a lot of women in Vietnam getting to STEM technology soon and tech, which is just crazy. Like when you think about a country like this, right? So that's.
I mean, they were a very privileged group of Vietnamese kids that I was teaching, but at the international school I was teaching at, the majority of them are just very wealthy Vietnamese kids studying an international curriculum.
The middle class in Vietnam is booming right now. That income is just getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and that is, and you know, they're like you said, they're going to invest all that back into education for their children, so that, you know, their lifestyle is going to even get better in the next 5-6 years.
So how do you think, and Da Nang is really a microcosm of that. It's changing as fast as anywhere I've ever, and you know, I lived in China too. It's changing that fast here right now. Things are rapid, the pace. It just seems like not only like it's changing more, it's accelerating too. Like it's like really starting to take off.
You can see it on the rent right away. I'm thinking like 20% or 10-20% is going up on the since I've been here last year.
What's your long-term plan? Are you planning on being here 5 years, 10 years from now? And what do you think it looks like for you too, like to live
I
here?
would say I think it'll still be affordable in the next 3 to 5 years, without a doubt. But I think it may make a leap in the 5 to 10 years period to, like, you know, that of like mini Singapore, Hong Kong coming around the corner. And again, back to my point in the beginning, it's about an industry coming here. I don't know whether that's going to be tech, solar, whatever that's going to be. If that comes, and I think they're building for it, I call Vietnam the field of dreams.
Yeah.
Kevin Costner's build it, they will come.
Yeah.
You think of all these buildings, you think, who the hell's living here, guys? Like, but that's what they're doing. You see all these empty resorts, but they're building for the future, I think. And if it does happen, like, I think FPT is a great example, right? My wife's uncle built like a big apartment there for students to come. It's like $300 or for 1 bedroom, but they're studying tech, right? So if that booms, for example, and now you're getting industries coming in here, I'm in touch with a lot of the tech CEOs in Hanoi, and they were in a lot of my movies, and they're exponentially grown. I mean, one of the top CEOs I interviewed, she was in Forbes magazine, top 17 women to watch, is in Hanoi. And
like globally, Forbes magazine.
Globally,
like Forbes, globally, for sure.
So she grew her, I think, business from like 200-300 people when I interviewed 3 years ago, like almost getting to 800,000. And she's opening an office in here also looking to. So, you know, same thing with Saigon. I think you'll see at some point Saigon and Hanoi, it's already reaching critical mass, right?
Yeah.
You're not going to have, those industries got to go somewhere. It's no different than when all the tech industry in, say, you know, Silicon Valley just got saturated, just San Francisco got whacked, you know, like I was there. And so, and suddenly you see all the started moving to San Diego. But initially, San Diego 12 years ago, it was like, Da Nang, it's beach city, let's go for vacation, surfing, let's go to SeaWorld, you know, Bana Hills. Kind of the same thing, right?
Billions of dollars come pouring in.
Exactly. Like it was a city that was meant for vacation.
Yeah.
Now you've got top end, you know, genome sequencing, which is like the next industry. Biotech is headquartered in San Diego. So that's why I was saying, if Da Nang figures itself, whether AI, whether it's solar or something, and it's gonna build manufacturing facilities, everything in here, it's going to go towards that Singapore mode.
Yeah, I believe that.
But when that happens, 5-10 years, I wish I could predict it all, but probably 5 to 10 years.
Before we wrap up, for someone who's watching, who's on the fence about coming to Vietnam, is, you know, sort of scared, has never sort of wet their feet and traveled much or been to Southeast Asia, what's some simple, pragmatic advice that you could give to them?
Well, it's pretty simple. Just get a hotel. Like most of the hotels on the beach are like, what, $30-40 a night? Just get a hotel, and, you know, instead of staying for like 5 days and go see Bana Hills, just stay and experience it for 2 weeks. Walk around. I mean, the expat area is so walkable. The beach is there. Just spend a couple of weeks and just, you know, like I said, think that you're taking a little vacation to San Diego where you can afford to do it for about 4 or 5 days. You can afford to do it for 3 weeks here, right? Yeah. Take that little vacation and enjoy the weather here. And I always say, you don't need to sell Da Nang, it sells itself.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Just like San Diego, I don't think it was like, you need to really sell it. When you get there, you get the vibe, you get the chillness, and I think you start looking, everybody's so friendly. You know, everybody's just, you know, no drama, no issue most of the time, and you don't have bikes all over the place, you know, at least near the beach, but, you know.
Absolutely, man. I think that's it. You just need to get over here and experience it for yourself.
Yeah.
Shareef, appreciate it so much. Thank you so much for coming on the Cost of Living Abroad pod. Where can people find your films, watch your productions?
Yeah, you can get everything on my website. It's called 101productions.com with the number one and
Put it
one
up here,
productions.
graphic.
Yeah, all my films are there. You know, I have also little videos of places in Southeast Asia I've gone to. I don't do a lot of my public videos in the YouTube yet, but through my website you can get to like my volunteer work in Philippines, Indonesia. You can get a sort of idea of what it is, and it has all of my social media connections, so you can ask questions through those and whatever I can do to help.
Thanks so much for sharing your story. I truly appreciate
You're
it.
welcome. Thank you.
And one more thing. If you also want to turn your experience in Southeast Asia into a real profitable business, scan this QR code on the screen or use the link in the description below to sign up for incorporation and accounting services with Awesome in Singapore right now.